We're here with three guys who love sports on a Wednesday afternoon, a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We're not dealing with the effects of Ian like the people in Florida are. Please pray for them if you get the chance. But we are here to talk about sports. I am here with my regular co-host, Robert Kinney. Oh, wait, that's not Robert. Robert, where are you? Robert's on vacation. Adam, the intern, is my co-host today. Adam, welcome, buddy.
Thank you. How's it going?
Doing great. And our friend, Carrick Martin. Carrick, welcome back.
Thank you.
We haven't had Carrick on here. We had him on over at the other location we were doing, but he's a fill-in today with Robert out of town. So happy to have Mr. Carrick. This show is to help guys that are going through some tough times, like my friend Steve Pearson that's got prostate cancer, and we want to help take their mind off of what they're going on in their life for at least an hour a week. And so we are here to talk sports. We'd love to hear from you, too. That phone number is 7-470-7-SPORTS, 470-777-6787. So let us know what you're talking about or what you're thinking about our sports, like Sean, the bartender, does. Good to see you, Sean. All right, so let's get into some Braves baseball. We have 7 games left in the regular season. We have now caught up with the Mets in terms of number of games played, and we're dead even, and yet we're still not dead even. The Braves.
What do you mean, Chuck?
Well, if we wind up tied right now, if we were tied right now, the Mets have a head-to-head advantage over the Braves of 9-7. So the Braves would have to win all 3 of their weekend series this weekend to pull ahead of them in case of a tie at the end of the year. So as things are right now, the Braves have to be a game up. But we all play the same number of games, and we'll see what happens.
So this weekend is crucial for us.
Very crucial.
We've got Hurricane Ian coming. One of the games gets canceled. Don't know that there's enough time left in the season to make up that game. So we've got to win while we can.
Well, I've seen that they may play one game Friday and may do a doubleheader on Sunday. Like a day-night doubleheader. There's supposed to be the ESPN game of the week. Excuse me, on Sunday night, so they may be doing that. The other thing, I've got an interesting stat about the Braves that I bet neither one of you knows. If they go through the last 7 games without doing this, that will be the first time ever in the history of baseball that a team did not do this in a season. Can you guess what that is? Take a shot. Come on.
Well, we had a complete game shutout.
No.
The other day, so I was thinking maybe a complete game.
That's something very simplistic.
Grand Slam?
No.
We didn't hit into a triple play?
No. The Braves have not laid down one sacrifice bunt all year.
Wow.
Man.
And that has never been done in baseball before, that a team could go through a whole year and not lay down a sacrifice bunt.
What a lost art.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So that means not DH.
That's what caused it.
If you think so. They still got to move players up just because they have DH. Pitchers aren't the only one that laid down sacrifice bunts. So if that was the case, every team would do without that.
That was the only way I was ever useful in a baseball game.
A sacrifice bunt?
Yeah.
And throwing out the first pitch.
Trying to move the other runner up because I was slow as a glacier.
Were you?
Yeah.
All right. So the other good news that happened in baseball this week is Pujols. Albert Pujols hit his 699th and 700th home run. Was it last Friday night at the Dodgers game?
Yeah, I think so.
That's fantastic. So very happy for Pujols. But is he satisfied? Is his next goal now 714? Do you think he'd come back next year and play just to get past Babe Ruth?
I don't know. That would be a good question, but he's had a pretty slow second half of the season, hasn't he?
Well, he had a very slow first half. He only had 7 home runs until August, and he's hit 15 since August 1st.
All right.
So I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm just happy that he made it. But I'm also concerned now with Judge. Is Judge going to get there?
Yeah, that's a real question because he's gone flat last few games.
Well, is it that he's gone flat, or is there so much pressure on him, or are pitchers just pitching around him? I know I watched one game, and every time somebody threw him a ball, the crowd booed.
Well, I think statistically he hits a home run every 9 at-bats.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 games left in the season, so he's on track to get about 64. I don't know they'll get there. I think it's more like 62 or 63.
I'm not sure if he's going to get one. I don't know if it's too much.
I watched part part of their game the other night, and he was just sitting in the dugout by himself. None of his teammates around him, and that's got to be. I don't know. It's just so different that you expect your teammates to be around you, and then I guess they don't want to jinx you, but they're jinxing them by not
I know.
acting like it's a normal game.
And Roger Maris's family's in the crowd every night, and Aaron's family's in the crowd every night. I just think it might just be too much pressure, and that maybe it's just too much on his shoulders. He got to 60 so easily and so quickly, and now, he had 15 games left when he needed 2 more, and he hasn't had one since. I think he's got 6 or 7 games left. So
Well, you got to give him kudos for manning up and saying, "I'm not going to take your offer, Yankees, and I'm going to play this last year and let the contract run out and see what happens." And man, he has performed this year.
He certainly has, and wonder if he'll be a Brave next year.
Good.
Oh, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be if he wants to go somewhere else. Pretty interesting stuff happening in baseball. A lot of good things going on. This time next week, we'll know, right? I think next Wednesday is actually the last game with the Marlins, right? So we've got 1 more with the Nationals tonight, 3 with the Mets over the weekend, and 3 more with the Marlins, and that's it. It's hard to believe. 7 games left in the season, and none of it's mattered up till now because we're tied with the Mets. So we'll see what happens. So we'll move on to college football. Adam, do you want to read your commercial first before we do?
I will. Modern Image is a locally owned document and photograph scanning company that helps clients secure and use paper files and photos, whether it's important business files or sentimental family photos and videos. Modern Image is dedicated to helping clients solve problems around paper. Say it, Chuck.
Go Dogs.
Yes.
Boy, he
Still
was
pains me.
impressive reading that, wasn't he?
Well, he is
You would
Adam.
think he has a 4.0.
Adam, the intern, he knows what he's doing over here, so that's all right.
Try.
So let's get into a little bit of college football and what happened this weekend. There were some great games. Wake Forest and Clemson was a double overtime game, 51-45. Boy, it just looked like it was I thought Wake was going to take it, and then Clemson just came back. Nothing great. I don't know what. I don't know if Clemson still deserves to be in the top 5 or not, but I guess they're still there because of their record. I think my favorite upset of the week was obviously I have to show some love for the Middle Tennessee State University Blue Raiders because my son went there, but them knocking off Miami and not just beating them, but beating the slop out of them. Was it 45-24 or something like that?
Yeah, they did a number on the Hurricane, didn't they?
Yes, they did, and predicated the hurricane that's hitting Florida this week, or today, actually. So very excited to see that for Middle Tennessee because they had a bad loss at the first of the year. I don't remember who it was, but they played pretty good football since then.
I have to say, Middle Tennessee, interestingly enough, is 3-0 all time against Miami in football.
Middle Tennessee State is?
They have never lost to Miami.
Wow. Is that the fact you had for me? Oh, that was a different fact.
No, I have a different one.
Okay, that's cool. We'll get into that when it goes. But, yeah, I've been up to the Blue Raiders and watched them play in Murfreesboro before.
You know, I have 2 nieces that go to Middle Tennessee State, and they have never been to a football game.
Oh, really?
They've never been to any sporting event supporting their school, the Blue Raiders.
What happened to be true to your school?
I don't know. They're just weird.
One of my best buddies from high school, JT Musgrove. JT ran track at MTSU and still holds a bunch of records up there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I was posting something about Kevin, my son, and he wrote back. He said, "You know, Chuck, that's where I went to school. Still got a bunch of records." I said, "Oh, that's really cool."
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. McEachern Indian have some records there. So the other things that happened this week, Kansas State upset Oklahoma,
Yes.
which is another team that's in the top 10.
Adrian Martinez, the Nebraska transfer, played really, really well.
Did you watch the game?
I did watch a little bit of the end.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch any of that game. I was watching other things. I just didn't think it was going to be that exciting of a game, and it wound up being. I watched some of the early football, and then I went to see the Mighty Owls whip up on the Wofford Terriers later that evening. Hooty hoo. We'll have another show here at 7 o'clock talk all about KSU sports, so we'll get into the Owls then. But my question is, why is Kansas State in the top 25 and Kansas is not? Kansas is 4-0. They've beaten two teams on the road as 13.5-point underdogs and 9-point underdogs in West Virginia, which is not an easy place to play, and also at Houston. So it was very, I think they're like ranked right out of the top 25, 26th, 27th in both the polls. But I don't understand why a Kansas State who lost to Tulane is in the polls. It seems like one good game will get you in, and one bad game won't drop you out unless you're Alabama, because Alabama, when they played Texas, you know, they dropped to number 2 because Georgia had beaten up a cupcake that week. And this week, Georgia has a tough time with Kent State, and Alabama rolls over Vanderbilt 55-3, and yet the roles are not reversed. The Dogs don't go to second, and Alabama goes first.
Well,
So,
anybody can beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
well, Vanderbilt had 2 impressive wins to start the season. They had 65 points in their first win. I don't remember who it was against, but they're playing some decent football for Vanderbilt. I actually took Vandy plus the 40 against Alabama this week. That didn't turn out so good.
What I want to go back to Kansas State beating Oklahoma. Maybe losing to Tulane was a better situation than Kansas beating Duke.
I don't know.
I'm kind of gonna agree. I think they beat Oklahoma on the road, right?
Tulane?
No, Kansas State.
I'm not sure where
I
that
think
game
it
was played.
I think it was at Oklahoma. So I think beating Oklahoma on the road is a tough enough task. And they were 2-1 going into the game. They're now 3-1. Your only loss is Tulane. I think you gotta rank them. I mean, Oklahoma's a top 10 team. Oklahoma's played well this season. They put up 49 against Nebraska. It is
Georgia
Nebraska.
Southern beat Nebraska.
Yes, they did. But I think you gotta
Go Huskers.
Yeah.
I think you gotta rank Kansas State because they went on the road to Oklahoma and beat Oklahoma.
I don't know. I just don't think a team that loses Tulane should get precedent over somebody that is won 4 pretty good ball games.
Now, wait a minute now, Chuck.
Oh gosh,
Chuck.
I'm listening, Carrick.
Isn't there some talk of Willie Fritz, the Tulane coach, coming to Tech now? Your other favorite school?
I have not heard of Willie Fritz coming to Tech.
Yeah.
I have heard Neon Dion might come to Tech,
Well, that would be very entertaining and interesting.
but I don't want him as a coach at Georgia Tech.
Well, that would be awesome. I mean, I think he'd get you every recruit in the world. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but can he win ball games?
well, I don't know. We'll find out. But it would be interesting. Tech would be relevant again, at least in discussions.
Yeah, but isn't that why Jeff Collins was brought here? I mean, Jeff Collins was a great recruiter. He brought in players, he just can't coach. He can't win a ball game.
That's true. I mean, he got Jameer Gibbs here, and now Jameer's scoring 55 with Alabama over Vanderbilt. You know, my grandmother always said there's no snob like a Vanderbilt snob.
I have never heard that
Yeah,
saying
she
before.
did not like Vanderbilt.
Kind of the same way I feel about the Dogs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who won the national championship?
that would be Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I am fairly aware of that. So the top 25 in overall is just I just don't get it. I mean, there are teams in there that I don't should be in there. Texas, why are they? Didn't they get beat again
Yeah, they got beat by
They
Texas
did.
Tech.
by Texas Tech this weekend? Yeah,
Yeah.
and they got beat by Alabama very closely, and they're still in the top 25.
Yeah.
A 2-loss team. So why ain't a 4-0 team? I think Minnesota's in there. How about Syracuse? Syracuse is a pretty good ball club.
Syracuse is not that good a ball club.
They beat Purdue,
Yes.
and they
However,
also won a
yes,
close game this
however.
weekend.
Yes, however, arguably Purdue should have won that game. We made mental errors. We had
Oh,
we
I
had
noticed that.
multiple
He's
we
a
had-
boiler maker.
We had multiple 15-yard penalties on crucial drives that would have ended the drive if we don't get the penalty. So I think we should have beaten Syracuse. I don't know that Syracuse is as good as everybody makes them out to be.
Dino Babers doing a good job up there. He's had a couple of good seasons. What's Larry Hoeing up? Oh, 14,
14.
yes. Yeah. if you can get one of them, Larry, let's finish with college, and we'll slide him in after college.
Well, nobody's talked about the Missouri-Auburn game, and that was probably one of the worst finishes to a major college game I've ever seen.
It was one of the worst games.
And, kind of still leads to a lingering coaching situation at Auburn. But, that was just unbelievable, and it was not a good unbelievable.
No, it wasn't. I've heard tales or rumors of Deion maybe going to Auburn.
That would be interesting, too.
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Being in the SEC and competing against Bama is their main adversary rival. So I don't know where Deion might go. But, you look at somebody like what was the guy's name that coached down at Robinson, that coached at one of the all-black colleges for years and years.
Eddie Robinson?
Eddie Robinson, yeah. Does Deion really have that in him? I mean, is that what he wants to do? Does he want to be at Jackson State forever
No.
and be the
No.
Eddie Robinson of Grambling? That's where Robinson was, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think he wants to do that. I mean, he's got plenty of recruits. Jackson State should make a move either this year or next year to be one of the better teams in the FCS. I don't see any reason why he would stay at Jackson State.
His nickname is Prime Time.
Yep, that's true. So do you think he might hold out for FSU? But I thought he would have had a shot at him until this year. But Mike Norvell's finally turned it around down in Tallahassee, and they're playing some good football.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a Deion fan. I don't have any issues against Deion. I'm just curious as to where his heart is. Is he like a Eddie Robinson or not, and wants to stay at one school forever? I certainly appreciate what Kerrick said about him being prime time, and that's Deion. But he take his Aflac commercials. He probably makes more money doing the Aflac commercials than he did all years of playing baseball and playing football combined.
Yeah, and coaching this year.
And coaching.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where his heart is. I know where his ego is, but I don't know. I certainly don't want him at Tech. If I had to guess right now, I'd have to go with Ken Wisenhunt being the coach at Tech, just because he was tight end there. He's had a couple of coaching gigs, one at Arizona. He had one somewhere else, too. I can't remember. But him being a Tech guy, I really don't know who to come be a part of this dumpster fire, to be honest.
I mean, who really wants to come here?
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to come take this job? They're going to pay somebody a lot of money or pay nobody some money.
Yeah.
And that's,
I was surprised to see the financial troubles at Georgia Tech, having a deficit in their athletic department of about $12 million. I guess the school is loaning them the money to stay afloat, but that was quite surprising. So I don't know all their finances, but doesn't seem like paying out Jeff Collins and Todd Stansberry is going to help that.
I would agree with that. Now, I have even heard one rumor about Brian Bohannon going to Georgia Tech.
Do you think they would go back to the triple option after they dogged Paul Johnson all those years?
I don't know what they're going to do.
It's worked for him. It's more successful than the Jeff Collins offense.
Well, I would agree with that, but, they were so all the fans and the press was so vehement that, oh, it's a total rebuild. Well, no, it was a half a rebuild because the defense was a normal defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I don't understand people's reluctance to have a quirky offense.
Yeah, I know. Well, and we talked about this before. The triple option is something that's tough to prepare for when you have 1 week to do it. When you've got 6 months to do it, or you've got 6 weeks even at bowl season to prepare for it, it's a little bit easier to prepare for, as we've seen so far in football lore, as you would. So, excuse me, I got a frog. So, is Sean ready to come on board, Larry? All right. All right, we're going to get Sean, the bartender, in here for just a second.
Come here.
Yeah, and let him tell us about what's going on at Miller's Ale House. We are always happy to be here. As you know, we are here on Wednesdays from 5 to 6. Or is it Bailey?
Lady?
Is Bailey going to be on? No, Bailey's leaving.
She would be more fun than Sean.
They're both great.
Yeah,
You want me to
Sean's
get Bailey?
Sean's a Jets fan.
All right, come on, Bailey.
Come on, Bailey.
ragamuffin today.
You never look like a ragamuffin. And what do you know about being a ragamuffin? You're way too young to know that terminology.
I've been told that my whole life.
Oh, really? Well,
Yes.
tell us what's going on at Miller's Ale House this week, Bailey. We haven't seen you since last week.
Well, there's football this weekend.
Yeah?
That's about it. It's our same daily specials. So today we don't have anything. Tomorrow we have prime rib. Friday we have prime rib French dip as our special.
So when it's raining here, do a lot of people come? No?
No, we're kind of dead on rainy days.
Oh, are you really?
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that it's rainy. I want to go sit somewhere in a bar and watch a lot of football.
Yeah,
No?
not too busy, but
Yeah.
y'all come out here. We need money.
Yes, they need money, and they have great food here. I can attest to that. We love Miller's Ale House. Come out here for the Owls, the Owl Club, and come out here for obviously Three Guys Who Love Sports, and also for the Owls show that we do from 7 to 8 on Wednesday nights as well. So, Bailey, let me ask you a question. What's your go-to breakfast?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Chicken
what
biscuit?
What at Chick-fil-A?
Minis.
Chicken biscuit minis?
No, chicken minis with hash browns and a sweet tea.
It
Sweet
works.
tea for breakfast.
Yep.
Okay. That's something we ask our guests on the Owl show, so I just thought I'd ask you that. So.
Yep. What about-
So next time somebody wants to Venmo Bailey something instead of cash, now you know what she wants. Chick-fil-A, minis, hash browns, and the sweet tea.
That's
So-
right.
So all you guys that are out there in the dating world, Bailey, that's what she's looking for in a man. Somebody to take her to Chick-fil-A for breakfast.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Bailey. Well, thank you for sitting in with us for a minute, and go Miller's Ale House.
That's right.
Thanks, Tom.
Go Dogs.
Oh, don't say that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We can't have that.
It's too late.
We
It's
can't
too
have
late.
that.
How about Go Owls?
There we go. That could work. That could work. We like the Owls, not the Dogs.
Absolutely. And so let's get into our picks for college football for this weekend. We have in our first game we have Clemson laying 6.5 at home against NC State. Carrick, what do you got?
You got to go with Clemson. I mean, the Sons of Clem are tough at home because
The Sons
they
of
run
Clem.
they run down the hill and touch that rock, giving them some sort of magical low IQ, and then they go play. And North Carolina State, actually produces some smart people, and they just don't play well there. That's my opinion.
Oh, that's all we're looking for is opinions.
Yeah.
Did they played at Wake this weekend, didn't they? Clemson
think
played
so.
at Wake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the crowds now. So Clemson played pretty good on the road. That's a pretty good deal. I think I took Clemson as well. I did. I'm going to mark Manu G down for Clemson.
I am also going to take Clemson. DJ Uiagalelei played well last week. 5 passing touchdowns, 370 yards. Will Shipley ran for over 100 yards. I think the rushing game against NC State's going to be key. If they can get the ground game going, I think Clemson's got a pretty good chance.
Yeah, Will Shipley had a really good first half, and
He
they kind of
did.
slowed down in the second half, didn't he?
Did 20
But
carries.
DJU
105
made some
yards.
made some good passes and got them back in the game.
Yep.
The overtime was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
The two
Yeah.
overtimes, yeah. And what is Robert's pick? Robert's on vacation, but he emailed us his picks.
Yeah, Robert took Clemson as well.
So Robert is on Clemson as well, according to Larry, the engineer. All right, we have our second game. Kentucky plus 6.5 playing at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is putting up a lot of points. I know they drubbed the aforementioned Yellow Jackets pretty bad a couple of weeks ago, and I've seen them lay some points on, I think, Central Arkansas. They played second week of the year and beat them pretty bad. So I think, though, I think I'm taking Kentucky. I'm going to take Kentucky plus the points. Stoops and them are playing pretty well. They went into the swamp and beat the Gators. Don't think they'll win, but I think they'll cover the 6.5.
Counterpoint. They did go into the swamp and beat the Gators, but it's the Lane train. You
The
must
Lane
hop on the
train.
Lane train.
Lane train.
I'm going Rebels.
So Adam the intern goes with Mississippi.
The first place I ever lived after I was born in Tennessee, we moved to Oxford, Mississippi. So I've got to go with Ole Miss as well. And the Lane Train seems he is much more mature now as a coach and a person, and actually seems to pay attention to football, and has a pretty good team. But this will be a good game because Kentucky is very good. Stoops has done a great job there.
Have you ever been to a game at the Grove? I've heard that's a fabulous place.
I went there. Chuck, you'll enjoy this. In I think 1975, and took my friend Ken Martin with me, and we were going to transfer to Ole Miss after we graduated from Kennesaw Junior College, and we were looking in the fall, and we go there, and for some reason, we ended up at the Oxford airport, and this plane full of Georgia boosters got out. They were talking about how Ole Miss was going to see red all day long. And Georgia lost 21-0 that day. It was not a good day for the Bulldogs, but that's my memory of going to
the Grove,
Hemingway Stadium.
And yet you chose Georgia over Mississippi to attend school.
I did because there was a young lady going to Georgia that I was wooing. So.
Was there Grace involved in this?
Yes, this was Grace. I was wooing Grace.
That's awesome. Grace is Carrick's wife. She's a fabulous lady. So, so we have two Ole Misses and one Kentucky. What does Robert say from Wyoming?
Robert is joining the unanimous crowd of Ole Miss.
That's not the unanimous crowd.
The Lane Train.
Yes.
Not the unanimous crowd. So.
That should be a good game, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be. Hey, Mark Buccini. So we also have Bama laying 17.5 at Arkansas this weekend. Wow, I didn't know that was at Arkansas, and that's a lot of points.
I love Sam Pittman. I think he is a great coach, and I think he's a great motivator. And I will take Arkansas in the points.
T.J. Jefferson and Carrick
Yes.
takes Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to beat Bobby Petrino in that emotional game, and I don't know that any motorcycles were ridden on the field that week, but
They weren't.
I really do like Sam Pittman. I think he's a great coach, and parents are happy to send their children to play for him.
That's kind of a cool statement to say, because a lot of people I never understood why if you have a five-star recruit in your house and you visited with Dabo Swinney and you also visited with Nick Saban, why anybody would choose Saban over Swinney. He's so good to kids and he loves him, but they're two different coaches, and I get that now that Saban's all business and Swinney's more of a player's coach than that, but I had not heard that about Sam Pittman, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Adam, what is your take on this, Mr. Intern?
I love KJ Jefferson. He played well last week against A&M. Fortunately, wasn't good enough to get it done. But A&M's a good team, except when they play App State. So,
or when the other team's field goal goes off the top of the upright.
Oh,
This
that
is
wasn't
true.
that wild. I've
This is
never
true.
seen a field goal go off the top of the upright.
And 17.5 is way too much. We saw Alabama struggle against Texas. So I think I'm going to have to go with the Razorbacks.
So this seems to be a theme on this show. Everybody takes another team, and I take the opposite. So I just think Bama is out to prove something, and I think they can put up points at will, and I think they will outscore the Razorbacks by more than 17.5.
Chuck, if Arkansas manages to cover the spread, will you say Woo Pig Suey next week?
I will woo
Yes.
Pig Suey for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
come on, Arkansas.
I would do that, yeah. 17.5 is a lot of points, but Alabama put up 55. And, we didn't talk much about the Georgia and Kent State game. So
Yes, that was a fiasco.
that was a fiasco,
But
wasn't it?
They still managed to win by 17, but it was not a pretty game.
Yeah, 39-22 is not a rousing endorsement of Georgia football. They had a couple of turnovers, too, didn't they?
3 turnovers in
Three
the first
turnovers
half.
in the
and
first half.
Lad McConkey, usually Mr. Reliable, had a terrible first half, and he rebounded in the second half. So I'm
Yeah.
glad for that young man. But
McConkey a kicker?
No, he is a wide receiver.
Oh, wide
And
receiver.
he,
Those are how much I know about Georgia.
I will tell you this: it must have been a heck of a party Friday night in Athens somewhere.
Must have been. And actually, one of their cornerbacks got arrested
Yeah,
Sunday, I think, for
I think the party
drunk
continued.
driving.
Yeah.
After the ball game, the party continued.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll get on to we got a couple of more college picks.
What's
Oh,
what's
wait, we
Robert's
didn't get.
pick?
You don't have to tell me. It's
Robert's
Arkansas.
No, Robert agrees with you. He's going with Alabama.
Look at Robert. I wrote him down
Dangerous
wrong.
Robert.
Bama, go, roll tide, roll tide. We've got a guest on our Owl show at 7 tonight from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Tommy Bryant. So we'll be talking to him about all things Alabama here in a little bit. Game number 4, the Golden Gophers of Minnesota laying 12 at home against the Boilermakers of Purdue. I'm going to let Adam go first because
All right.
he's a big Purdue fan.
All right.
Do we even need to hear your explanation?
Adam, what is
No,
the,
you want to hear my explanation.
what
Okay,
is
go
the
for it then.
Purdue fight song? Can you sing that for us?
I cannot sing it. I do know the fight song. I'm not going to sing
Yeah, that's different than cannot sing it.
it. I don't want to sing it.
All right. Let us hear your
All right.
Purdue take.
So, last week, if you watched the game, we struggled against FAU. We only won by 2.
The other Owls.
Yeah.
We only won by 2. But our backup quarterback was playing. So if our starting quarterback plays and we get our running back back, Jeff Brom is 1-3 all time against PJ Fleck in Minnesota. Now the last 2 wins, the last 3 losses have kind of been a little controversial. But I think if we get our starting quarterback back, the defense has played well the last couple weeks. I think we can beat the Gophers.
What's his name? McDonald or McConnell?
Aiden O'Connell,
O'Connell.
AOC.
Yeah, O'Connell. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you're going to take the Boilermakers,
Yes.
which doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Adam, it concerns me that you know that much about Minnesota and Purdue football, the kind of the lower end of the Big Ten.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Are you by chance from up there or something?
My family is from Indiana. My dad's from Fort Wayne.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we'll do that in the Owl show. Just remind me to talk about Fort Wayne in the Owl show.
Okay.
I will remind you to do that. So, Carrick, what is your take on the Gophers and the Boilermakers?
Well, one time when I was in college in Athens,
I love Carrick's stories.
Me too.
Gene Cady and the Purdue Boilermakers came down with an soon-to-be ineligible player, Woody Austin, and beat the Georgia Bulldogs in basketball. And the very next day, they were starting school back in Purdue, so Woody Austin was immediately ineligible, but he was eligible the night before. Purdue obviously has no academic integrity, so that has still made me mad.
Wow.
And then there is a former neighbor of mine, Mary Lou, who was a graduate of the University of Minnesota. I always called them the Golden Gophers, which is their name, and I always do my fang thing with her. And so I will go with Minnesota in this one.
Carrick goes with
PJ Fleck. all the
PJ
way.
Fleck and the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, looks like snow. That's their cheer.
Yeah, looks like snow. But I got to tell you, I have always been a Minnesota fan since I did a promotion up in Minneapolis in 2001. I had a kid that worked for me named Scooter Bogus. Scooter was the starting tight end at the University of Minnesota, and he worked for me at a promotion at the Mall of America for 5 days. And a great guy. Now, they've got a heck of a running back in Ibrahim. He can run the ball. He's a big guy. He can run like crazy. And I think Minnesota has now taken over the lead, in my opinion, to the west of the Big Ten. I don't see anybody else out in the west that's going to take care of them. I thought Wisconsin was going to be the team, and they get drubbed by Ohio State. And they had another big loss, which they shouldn't have. So I thought Allen was the premier running back in the west of the Big Ten, but obviously it is now Ibrahim. And I think they are going to not only beat Purdue, but I think they're going to cover the 12 points. So give me the Golden Gophers as well against against Adams Boilermakers. Sorry, buddy.
That's okay.
And Adam, I'm sorry to say you're left all alone. Robert is also taking Minnesota.
Robert, per Larry the engineer, also takes the Golden Gophers.
It's all right.
How's that make you feel hanging out there on your own?
You know what? Not good. But I'm gonna stick with my team.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Be true to your school, right?
Yeah.
That's what you got to
Yeah.
do.
Loyalty is admirable.
Very admirable.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go to our last college game, and Washington -3 at the Bruins of UCLA.
They still play football in the Pac-12.
Barely.
Not
Yes.
anymore.
Barely. Yeah. Yeah. Washington's got a couple of big wins. I think they're in the top 25.
Of what?
I
Of
think.
this country?
Yeah, possibly.
It's a weak country. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And UCLA, Chip Kelly's never really caught on there. I mean, they've got a pretty good quarterback in whatever his
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
That's
DTR.
the one. Yeah, DTR. And I think he's a good athlete. But at UCLA, I think I'm going to take Washington. I think I'll take Washington in this game. Adam, the intern.
Well, it pains me to say this, but Indiana transfer Michael Penix has actually played pretty well at Washington. DTR has played well, but UCLA did struggle against South Alabama. They only beat him by 1, and anybody who struggles against South Alabama is not looking too good.
Yeah, they were 21.5-point favorites, I think.
They only won by 1 because they blocked South Alabama's game-winning field goal.
Did they really?
Yes.
Yes.
That's one game I did not watch.
The
So.
Jaguars look good in that game.
Yes. Washington also beat Michigan State like a drum. So
As did Minnesota last week.
a lot of people beat Michigan State like a drum. So I think I'm going to have to go with Washington.
That's two Washingtons. Do we hear a third Washington?
I will go with UCLA just because I don't know anything about it, but the cheerleaders are probably better looking.
Southern California cheerleaders are a lot better than the rainy girls from Washington,
Yeah.
is what Carrick said.
Yeah, I'll just go on that.
Oh,
Colors are better too.
Yeah.
I never have liked purple.
good enough reason for me. I could. And Robert, what does Robert say?
Robert is going to join Carrick and go with UCLA.
Robert's going with the UCLA Bruins, and I must say,
Picking the Big Ten team.
yeah, we both. There's consternation about that though. You know, have you been reading all that?
I have.
Those darn
But-
regents.
But they're going to let him go. They're going to let him go. The Big Ten's also, they've been talking about pulling in Stanford, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Washington,
Yeah.
making a 20-team conference.
Did you see the latest yesterday about, or was it today? I was reading about the remainder of the Big 12 and the ACC joining up to make a super conference.
I did read that, and the ripple effects of the conferences will be going on for months, and will be into the group of 5 conferences here again.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about that and how that will impact Georgia Southern or Georgia State or
Yeah.
Kennesaw State or Jacksonville State, who's already going to Conference USA. So,
Are they? I didn't know that.
yeah.
So the grant of rights in the ACC run through 2036, I think is what I read. But I guess they could forego that and rewrite those if they make the super conference. I don't know what it would. I don't know if it'd be the Big 20 or whatever, or if it'd stay the ACC. But
I don't know. That would be very interesting, though, but it's all about the media rights.
Yes.
everything's about the media rights. It's crazy. Just like I know Georgia had a home and home schedule with Oklahoma, right? And then the SEC said, no, you can't do that because they are now a member of the SEC. Why don't you get another cupcake and load up Ball State so you can whip up on them too?
Well, not only that, Chuck, you have hit a nerve with me. You have
I'm
hit
happy.
a nerve. Now,
That makes my day, Carrick.
I am a proud graduate of the University of Georgia after I went to the mighty Kennesaw Junior College like you did. But you know who they picked up to replace Oklahoma?
Ball State.
Ball State.
Yeah.
If you're
That
going to
juggernaut.
if you're going to pay money to a school from Indiana, nothing wrong with Indiana.
Yes, go on.
Why don't you pay money to a school from Georgia like Kennesaw State, who's been trying to schedule the University of Georgia in football but they don't like how we block. We block too tough.
Or why don't they actually pay somebody that's actually a state? Like you could play Washington State, play. I'm sure there's a California State. Ball isn't a state.
Didn't David Letterman go to Ball State?
Yes, I think he did.
I think that's why
I
they
never
chose
did
them,
think he
because
was
they
funny.
like Letterman fans.
Yeah. So, yes, I am quite annoyed about this, and I have expressed my opinion to a regent that I know here in Georgia.
About them scheduling Ball
yes,
State?
Yeah, about why they did not use that money to schedule Georgia or Mercer or something like that. If they're going to do a team that's not at their caliber, why not pay somebody locally?
Well, they have played Georgia Southern before. I know.
I know they
have
have.
played Southern. I think Kennesaw State's going to play Southern at some point. Isn't that on the schedule? 2025.
Go
Owls, go Eagles.
We'll be playing Statesboro Blues because we're going to make y'all sad.
Are they going to go to Statesboro?
Statesboro, yes.
They'll play in Statesboro.
I'm not sure if that's a home and home or a one-time thing.
I'd like to go down there. You know, I graduated from Georgia Southern after we left the awesome KJC, as we called it. But I'd like to. I'd go down for that game. I think.
Yeah.
Kerry, would you go with me?
I will be there.
We'll go
yes.
see the Owls and the
We will
Eagles.
probably have an alumni tent, and I might even buy you a ticket
I would
to go to the Kennesaw State alumni tent.
I would go to that game in a heartbeat. I'd love to go down to Southern, and I've never seen the stadium, and I've driven by it, but never been down there for a game.
They didn't even have football when you were there. They started that after.
81.
Yeah.
Irk Russell. I
Yeah.
liked Irk Russell in 81. They took over the program in 81. I graduated 79, so
Yeah.
missed football by 2 years. So that's pretty interesting stuff. We got some good picks. I didn't go over last week's results in college. I think we were all 2-3. Robert and I were both 2-3. Larry, the engineer, can you confirm that? Or did you check that? But Zach, our guest, was a big goose egg in 5 in college last week. So he will not be taking Brent Rittersdorf's place atop the guest picking pool. Brent is 7-3, and he's still on the top, even though I think Zach did get a couple of pro games right. So
I bet Brent is quite cocky about that, too.
he is a little bit. I talked to him at breakfast yesterday morning, and he was very happy about it. He
Yeah.
liked that.
I can't. That's Patriots fan. I don't know.
I don't know if he's a Patriots fan or he's a Tom Brady fan.
Man crush?
Yeah, a little bit of a bromance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of
Wow.
bromance. All right. Before we move on to pro football, we're going to talk a little bit about our other sponsor, Bearcat Express. Expedited shipping with hand-carry items in your car, van, or pickup truck. You ring and we spring. Do you need a delivery right now, as in go now, please? We have drivers in Atlanta, Athens, Macon, Augusta, Charlotte, Birmingham, Memphis, and Dothan, Alabama. Time-critical pickups, whether it be medical, delayed luggage, golf clubs left behind, passports, keys left behind, label companies, time-sensitive attorney checks, dogs that you would rather not fly on planes. If your critical package did not make it to the FedEx or UPS in time and process gets delayed, call the Bearcat Express team to get them moving right away, and you will have live tracking where your critical package is along the way, so your customer on the other end knows exactly when to expect it. Communication is our main priority with Bearcat Express. We are the go-to courier in the Southeast United States. Go to bearcatexpress.com. Best thing about this commercial is I don't have to say "Go Dogs" at the end. So
Boiler
I like
up.
that. Huh?
Boiler out.
You did say that dogs that don't fly on planes.
Yes, I did, but
Yeah.
that's part of the spiel. So I guess I had to. All right. So we can move on to the pros now. And Adam, I understand you had a fun fact for us
I do.
about Mr. Trevor Lawrence.
All right. Did you know Trevor Lawrence is the first QB to start 0-9 in his first 9 road games and win his 10th against the Chargers since Peyton Manning?
Wow, that is a deep fact. And
Yes.
Actually, the Jaguars had lost 18 straight road games, but I understand that Trevor was not the starting quarterback for all 18, but just the last 9. But they actually looked pretty good. They didn't play too badly on
they
the
didn't.
Saturday. Of course, the Chargers were beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I like that fact.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Adam, the
Thank
intern. So a little bit about the NFL this past week. Who was the bigger upset? Miami beating Buffalo, or Indy beating Kansas City?
I was surprised Buffalo lost.
Yeah.
I heard there was quite a lot of consternation about that.
That was a lot. It was an interesting football game. You know, Buffalo lost 4 of their starting defensive backs. Everybody in the defensive backfield had not played, not started a game. So they were beat up to start with, and then they lost another one. Plus, it was 100-something degrees down there, I think, on the field. And that's a tough thing to do, to play. Maybe the conditioning of the Dolphins was a little bit better than what the Buffalo Bills were, because they were sucking wind. I mean, they'd have to take people off the field to give them oxygen and water. It was they were cramping up pretty bad. But in the end, Buffalo had a chance to win, and they didn't. So credit to the Dolphins. But how can Kansas City go into Indianapolis and lose? That's my question. Indy is, as I said at the first of the year, I thought they were going to be the team to challenge the Buffalo Bills, with Matt Ryan now having a offensive line to protect him, and which he got killed on Sunday as well. But he did escape long enough to throw a touchdown pass to win the ball game. So I don't know. I still like Kansas City, but I mean, in general, the NFL, there's only 2 undefeated teams after 3 weeks. There's only 2 undefeated teams, and there's only 1 team that has lost all three games. So have we reached parity in the NFL?
Yeah, it seems so. Although I do have to say, Miami winning is not an upset. Miami is good. They have Jalen Waddle. You have Tyreek Hill. Tua's throwing the ball well.
Chase Edmonds is running the ball.
Yes.
Yep.
Miami winning is not an upset. They also beat Baltimore at Baltimore.
According to the spread, it is an upset. They were 6-point underdogs.
Well, when you put up 41 on that Baltimore defense, you've got a pretty good offense.
Yep, and how many did they put up on Buffalo?
21?
21?
21?
21-19, I think it was. Yeah, they ran that ball out of the end zone to take a safety at the end. That was pretty cool.
They punted it off. The punter hit it off.
Oh, yeah, that's
the,
right. Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy's butt.
A butt punt, yeah.
Yeah.
They had enough points to win. That's
Yes.
They did have enough
Yes,
points to win.
That is the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Falcons and what's going on with the Falcons. They're in the top 6 or 7 in offense, and they easily could have won all 3 ball games they've played. And if not for a fumbled snap on a 3rd and 1 against the Saints in the very first game, if they could have picked up that 1 yard, all they had to do was run out the clock. But they didn't. Same thing in game 2 against the Rams at L.A. They came back at the end, and they had a pass in the end zone for a chance to win and pull the reverse of the Patriots win over them, trailing 28-3, and come back and win. Again, interception. So for all the good that Marcus Mariota is doing at the end of the game, he's having trouble closing out, even though we did this weekend. But it was the defense that closed out against Seattle. And, you know, they talked about it was the interception that sealed the game, but it wasn't the interception that sealed the game. That was 4th and 8. If he just knocked it down, it's still Falcons ball, and they run out the clock.
Yeah.
So my question is, are the Falcons good, or are they just lucky?
I've said it once. I'll say it again. Marcus Mariota is not a bad quarterback. He was in a bad system at Tennessee. He's got Drake London. He's got Kyle Pitts. The run game's not terrible. I don't see any reason why the Falcons can't win a couple more games this year.
A couple?
I don't know that they're going to be contending for the playoffs, but I think they can win 5 or 6 games.
But it's hard to say right now, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, with so many
Yeah,
teams
it's early.
2-1 and so many teams 1-2,
It's early.
It's very hard to say right now
Yeah.
who's going to get. So we're just going to sit back and watch the season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Cordell Patterson going to keep up his yards per carry average?
Yeah, he's been
What,
he-
6 yards a carry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
That's impressive.
he runs the ball well. It's so of all the running back, I mean the wide receivers that have converted to running back. What Ty Montgomery did that.
Yes.
I think Cordero Patterson is probably the cream of the crop
Yeah.
for
I would
what
agree.
he's done.
I would agree.
And Tyler Algier has not looked bad when he was in either. He's still got a little growing up to do, and maybe put on a little weight, but he's an impressive back. So I don't know. Falcons aren't that bad if we could get the defense straightened out. Again, we were way up on the Saints and with 26-10 or something like that into the 4th quarter, and we blew that game too. So if they can get the defense straightened out, I think the offense will carry them a little bit further than anticipated earlier in the year. I don't. Maybe 8 wins, 8-9. Is that what it is now? 17 games.
Yes.
Maybe 8-9, 9-8. They got a tough schedule.
Yeah, they do.
They have Cleveland this week, and they're in our picks for the week, so we'll talk about them. But Falcons not a bad club. I'd like to go down and watch them play once if I could.
So is this indicative of we have a good coaching staff with a good head coach, or is this indicative of the previous coaching staff was just really bad?
The previous coaching staff was just really, really bad.
Not so fast, intern. I think that the new coach is getting his players in that he's wanted. I mean, there are only four players left from the Super Bowl team, or 1 or 2 players, not many, and only like 8 players that were on the roster 2 years ago. So what amazes me is that he has brought in his team. These are his players, and he's living up to it. And he drafts and he brings in a lot of athletes, like the guy that played, was it lacrosse?
Yes.
And now he's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And it plays very, very well. But he brings in athletes that want to do. Look at Cordero Patterson. He's played a lot of positions. I like the new coach, and I think Arthur Smith is going to be. I think he's going to be here a while. And I haven't said that in a long time about a Falcons coach in a long time. He was here longer. He'll be here longer than Petrino was.
Well, that's not hard.
If he doesn't leave on a Sunday night, I think he'll be here longer than Dan Quinn was, and longer than Mike Smith. I'm very impressed with the way he carries himself and doesn't get too far ahead. And he seems to be a little bit more focused on coaching teams as opposed to being a hip hurrah guy.
Yeah, Quinn seemed to impress me as kind of like Jeff Collins did. We're going to have this rah-rah system. Collins was 404, the Waffle House, we're branding, and Quinn was trying to brand. And I think they forget football and toughness. And
Dan Quinn's he's the defensive coordinator at Dallas now, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. All right, well, let's get on to our pro picks and see what we think. First game of the week is a Thursday night game. Cincinnati laying 3.5 to Miami, and just the spread surprised the heck out of me with all the issues. I know Cincinnati beat up on the Jets this weekend, which didn't make Sean the bartender happy. But I think Miami's a little bit better ball club than Cincinnati right now, and I am going to take the Dolphins.
Well, Chuck, I am going to differ with you. I'm going to take the Bungles.
Carrick is going to take the Bungles.
I'm going to take the Bungles just because Marlon Longacre likes them.
There you go. We need to get Marlon on the show. I've talked to him about being on.
Yeah.
I
He would be a good guest.
I believe after week 2, when the Bengals played the Cowboys, Joe Burrow was slated to be sacked 110 times by the end of the year, and the offensive line has really not protected him that much more for as many offensive linemen as they brought in the offseason. So with how explosive the Miami offense is, I think I got to go with Tua and the Miami offense.
Wow. And what does Robert on vacation say, Larry the engineer?
Robert is going to join Carrick and go with the Bungles.
The Bengals.
Yeah, the great minds think alike.
Robert must have been stuck in the geyser out at Old
Yes.
Faithful or something. Too much water to his head. I don't know what's going on with that guy. Second game, Indy -3 at home against the Tennessee Titans. Adam, go first.
Derrick Henry is really, really good. Really good. Titans.
I would agree with that. I think, I think Andy's game against the Chiefs this past weekend, I said even last week on the show that Patrick Mahomes has never played that well against the Colts. And he came to prove that right because he did not have a great game. So I will take the Titans as well, going up against the Indianapolis Colts.
I will take the Titans as well because they say Matt Ryan is now slower than a glacier. as much as I love Matt Ryan and great guy and has done great things in Atlanta, I'm beginning to think his foot speed is gone.
As opposed to being the same speed as a Glacier, he's now slower than a Glacier.
Slower than a Glacier.
That's pretty slow. That's pretty slow.
Slower than Carrick Martin.
Wow.
That's tough to do.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
All right, Larry, the engineer, what does Robert have to say about this game?
Robert thinks you all are all wrong, and he's going with Indianapolis.
Man, Robert. We're going to have to have a
Robert,
talk with that boy.
Robert,
when he
what's
gets back.
going on?
All right.
That high altitude must be getting to
I'm
him.
telling you.
Yeah.
Game number 3. The Philadelphia Eagles laying 6.5 at home against Jacksonville. Now, who has Philadelphia beat? They beat Detroit.
They beat Minnesota.
They barely beat Detroit. They beat Minnesota.
The
and-
Gophers? They barely beat the Gophers?
Wrong Gophers.
Oh.
The Vikings. And then they beat up on the Commanders, which is no great feat, right? So I am going to take the slinging Trevor Lawrence plus the 6.5 with Jacksonville at the Eagles.
Adam, the intern, you go ahead.
All right. That's a good pick. I like that pick. Jalen Hurts has played well. He's got Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith has caught a lot of passes. He did have a week where he caught 0 passes, which was a little alarming. And as much as it pains me to say this as a Cowboys fan, I'm going to have to pick the Eagles.
There you go.
You know, it's hard to pick the Eagles when they have booed Santa Claus, but I will have to do that as well.
I agree.
Yeah, so you're going to take Jacks? Oh, you're taking Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Carrick takes the Philadelphia Eagles. And who does Robert take, Larry, the engineer?
Robert is also going with the Eagles.
Yes.
With the Eagles? So 2-2 on that one. You know, it's funny that the Eagles are one of the 2 undefeated teams, and they're just not getting a lot of respect. And certainly not for me. Jalen Hurts has had some good ball games, but I think it's going to come to an end on Sunday. So, 4th game, Green Bay laying 10.5 against New England at home. I will go first. I am going to take the Packers. I think with Mac Jones kind of iffy about whether he's going to be able to play or not. The Packers played so well at home in their first game. They didn't have a great game at Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay's got a pretty good defense. I think Packers are going to cover the 10.5 with Aaron throwing to his new wide receiver Dobbs and Aaron Jones running the rock. So give me the Packers laying the 10.5.
I will take the Packers as well. I mean,
Nope, go ahead.
the Cheeseheads, I think will I guess they will curdle if they don't win this game.
They will be making the Lambeau leap all over the field.
Yeah, from high up.
Absolutely.
The Packers offense has not been good. They struggled in week 1 against Minnesota mightily. Their receivers dropped open deep balls. But Aaron Jones is really good. A.J. Dillon is on my fantasy team. I got to go with the Packers.
There you go. And let me guess, Robert is going with the Philadelphia Eagles.
He's going with the Packers.
I'm not in
Okay.
Philadelphia, New England. Yep. So he is taking Green Bay as well.
I mean, who could pick New England?
Yeah.
I mean, they're cheaters.
Yeah.
Yes.
They blow up balls and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the first
they
one.
suck the air out of
Yeah.
them.
That's the only game that we picked all 4 the same. That's pretty wild. All right. In the last game, we have our hometown Falcons against the Cleveland Browns here in that lovely Atlanta. Go ahead, Carrick. I'll let you go first.
You know, I'm thinking. We had very low expectations on the Falcons this year. They have exceeded our expectations, and I think that will bring a fired up crowd to the Benz. And I think they will take the Browns with Nick Chubb. But I think the Falcons will win.
Adam, the intern.
As much as I would like to pick Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett's been okay at quarterback. They do have a Boilermaker at wide receiver, David Bell, playing well.
That's a reason to take them.
Nick Chubb. I heard that, Carrick. Nick Chubb has played really well. at running back. But I like Marcus Mariota in the offense. So I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Adam, the intern, goes with Falcons. You know, it's always funny because I always remember during the Super Bowl saying, another dog wins the Super Bowl. Matt Stafford. So there's dogs on just about every team in the NFL. You could say that about anybody. I never got that. I never understood that. So we have 3 for the Falcons. Larry, in this show, is telling us who Robert's taking.
Well, he's making unanimous. He's also going to the Falcons.
2 in a row with we all
we
4
go.
got the Falcons. So
Rise up.
rise up at Hot Atlanta. There
Go
you
Cowboys.
go. No, Cowboys. We didn't put them in here. So
I know. I'm disappointed.
I know it. But we did get your Boilermakers in the picture.
You did get the Boilermakers.
Yep. So very happy to have everybody today. Sean the bartender, as always. Thanks, buddy, for having us. We will be taking a break and coming back and doing the Owl Show, in which Carrick Martin will be my co-host tonight with Robert on the road. Looking forward to hootying with you in a little bit, Mr. Carrick.
Well, thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Adam, the intern, and it was a great show.
It was a great show. Adam, thanks for being here, buddy. Don't forget, guys, Helping One Guys, the organization we support. These are guys that have cancer bills that can't be paid, and that's who we support. By you being on the show, if you want to be on the show, it costs you $100, and we'll give $75 of that to help pay somebody's bill that can't pay their own cancer bill. So until then, guys, know your numbers, cover your ass, protect yourself. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.